My earliest memory of Amanda is when we went to Israel and Palestine together, and we were on a bus and she started rapping a Nicki Minaj song.
I originally met Amanda at training meetings to go to Israel and Palestine. Amanda and I sat next to each other during most of the training meetings, and I thought how awesome it was that she was traveling back and forth between New York and California for work.
I remember walking into a classroom, and I'm sure it was 2nd or 3rd grade, and she was kind of a trouble causer. So she was throwing pencils at the teacher or at the boys or something.
On March 23rd, 1988, at about 2:15 in the afternoon when she joined our family, and it was a very joyful day to have Amanda Gale.
My earliest memory of Phil was when we first met in high school.
I would say probably January of 1988 when he was kicking inside my tummy.
His dad and I got a phone call from the House of Ruth in Downey saying that a birth mom wanted to meet us about possibly being the parents to her unborn child.
Nearly about 8 years ago when we started our life group, we'd been asked to tell our life stories, and they wanted us to do this using a sheet of poster board with a bunch of post-it notes, and each of these post-it notes would have a word or phrase that would represent a key milestone in our lives, a significant event that helped shape us into who we are. And of course, in the middle of Philip's timeline is simply written the word kill. Yeah, kill. Right there in the middle, big, bold block letters.
She surprised me and I think a lot of other people by rapping. I think it was Nicki Minaj.
The more I got to know Amanda, the more I realized that she was just a workaholic.
I think my earliest memory with Amanda is hanging out after serving a meal at the shelter in downtown Fullerton.
I was immediately impressed. Amanda is somebody who carries herself in such a way that you can't help but respect her.
And actually, to be honest, I stalked him. I was following Amanda's Facebook pages and just kind of checking in on the kids like we normally do, and all of a sudden I noticed there was this bantering going on between her and somebody named Philip.
My first memory of Philip, when he stood up in church.
This time at church, it was a worship service, the 7 o'clock, and Steve Carter was preaching. And I remember Steve opened it up to the congregation to share what God was doing in our lives.
And he told a story about friends of his that had just been living out the gospel at their workplace. And he specifically used the term, they're balls out for Jesus.
And he starts off with this sentence. Well, I just want to say that my life group and I have really been balls out lately.
And I think he said, I want to be balls out for Jesus. And when I heard that, I was like, I got to get to know this guy.
He was the cutest little boy. He was a roly-poly. He went from sitting to walking, and in between, he just rolled.
While we were sitting on a park bench eating our lunch, Amanda dropped one of her chocolate chip cookies, and I was the bad guy. I wouldn't let her pick it up. And while the cookie was laying there on the sidewalk, a squirrel ran right in front of her, stole the cookie, ran under the bench, up a tree, and then proceeded to eat that cookie right in front of Amanda, almost taunting her.
One of my earliest and favorite memories of Amanda actually goes back to Craig Park in Fullerton. At the end of the night, I was trying to find my keys, and after lots and lots of searching for my keys, there were squirrels that had gone throughout the park. When we came to the conclusion that a squirrel had stolen my keys, he literally just took them and just ran away.
One time we stayed at Andrea's ranch, and we slept on the grass. We got bit by bugs. The sprinklers came on, but we were on a tarp, so we just kind of rolled the tarp over and went back to sleep.
I was one of the few people who actually knew both Philip and Amanda separately before they started dating. And I got to sit at the coffee shop as Philip talked about this new girl that he was interested in, and I got to stalk their Facebook interactions with their daily India facts while she was gone.
We went to Oscar's Fish Tacos in San Diego, and I asked her how her wedding planning was going, and I told her what not to do as a bride, to have her bridesmaids wear orange foundation and slick back gel hair. And then I asked her if she was a bridezilla, and I stuck my foot in my mouth because she then asked if I wanted to be part of her wedding party. And here I am.
One word to describe Amanda would be authentic.
Warm. From her smile to her personality, she's just so warm and engaging.
And she was labeled as a shark. That's how she deals with conflict, which we thought was hilarious, but the name really stuck because we noticed the unrelenting force of her combined strengths of achiever and competition.
She is all in and she makes the most of everything.
One word to describe Amanda would be calm and collected. It's really three, but they go together.
Articulate. I've always really loved how she is good with words and she can write her feelings so well and speak so clearly.
Word tenacious, and it's one of those examples where her greatest strength can be her greatest weakness if pushed to an extreme. When she was about 2, there were 2 different occasions where she dislocated her elbows because she did not want to go where we were going or do what we wanted her to do. And so she wound up inflicting pain on herself as a result. But that stubbornness really became a strong tenaciousness that served her well when she played soccer as a goalkeeper. It was that attitude of not in my house, you will not score on me. That serves her well in attacks where she goes the extra mile.
My one word to describe Philip, I'm having a hard time thinking of one right meow. So.
He just has such a big heart, and he doesn't do anything half-assed.
One word to describe Philip is energetic.
Complex.
Gregarious.
Unpredictable, for sure.
Everyone that knows Philip knows that this is a ridiculous question, but one word to describe Philip is excited.
Would have to be probably adventure, and the word for Amanda would have to be structured. And so the two of them together are very structured adventure.
I think the funniest thing that has ever happened with me and Phil that I'm willing to share.
My favorite story of Phil would have to be in high school when we went and TP'd one of our classmates, and we also put horse manure in front of their house.
I picked him up while he was hitchhiking across the country, and we met up in Chicago. And one night after having a nice day of exploring the city, we heard mariachi music playing at a distance as we were staying in my friend's house. And so we decided to walk off the back porch and through people's backyards, and at a certain point came around a corner and found a large Mexican family having a fiesta of sorts. And they saw us standing there checking it out and invited us over and asked us how old we were. And I was 21, Philip was 22. And Octavian, whose 30th birthday it was, asked us if we would like a cerveza. And 6 cervezas later and a lot of Mexican food, we were singing every song even though we didn't know the words.
We came to this fountain right here, and we saw a kid with a mullet, and instead of just walking past him peacefully, Phil decided to yell, "Mullet! He's got a mullet!" for about 5 different times, and it was really great.
You know, when I had Philip, I knew I was doing the right thing. And when I gave Philip to Sharon in the hospital that day, we both started crying because that was the natural thing to do.
We decided to get Philip a ukulele. Well, that kid just went hog wild on that thing. And he'd have a cowboy hat on, and he'd be strumming that thing, and he had this deep voice as a little 2-year-old, and he'd sing this song, "Awesome God, awesome God." And then he'd go right from that into "She'll Be Coming Around the Mountain." I don't know how he saw the correlation, but it was hilarious. He couldn't really hold a tune, but he wailed on it.
First time I met her, I was just told that Philip was dating some girl that was clearly out of his league.
We went to a Dodger game, and just the way that she hoots and hollers, and is a huge sports fan, avid sports fan. We just connected through sports so much, and it was just such a fun night.
Somebody casually mentioned something about somebody finishing their food first, and next thing you know, we noticed Amanda had gotten really quiet, and when we looked over, her plate was almost empty of its entire Thanksgiving feast because her competition kicked in and she had to be the first one finished.
The conversation came up about this game that they used to play at Biola with incoming freshmen called blotting. And they
You're not
wouldn't
allowed
tell
to
us.
talk about
Yeah,
that.
exactly. We're not allowed to talk about it. So we had a good time. It was fun. That's all I can say about plotting.
When we were kids, our house had a big back deck off the second story, and it was probably about 20 feet from a large tree taller than the house. So for whatever reason, Amanda and I decided that we would take all the heads off our Barbies and toss their bodies in the tree. And following this flight of the Barbies, Amanda climbed the tree to retrieve all of them. In the process of coming down, she cut her hand on a branch, and one trip to the ER later, the story is very vividly still in my memory.
We're walking out to the parking lot towards our cars, and Philip just gets this look on his face. He's so excited, and he runs over and he grabs this Justin Bieber t-shirt, and he holds it up just with this delight and at our group, and says, "Who brings a Justin Bieber t-shirt to a U2 show?" The beautiful thing about this is there was a kid in the Justin Bieber t-shirt, wearing the Justin Bieber t-shirt, basically going along for the ride. Philip was grabbing the shirt, showing off the shirt, and this kid is pretty much there like a rag doll, just kind of with this look on his face that says, "You're not wrong."
For Phil's birthday, I think it was a couple years ago, and Phil said, "Hey, we're gonna go to State Line." And I thought to myself, well, State Line sounds like a really cool bar in Fullerton somewhere. I'm from San Diego, so I don't really know better. So I get up to Fullerton, and mind you, I have to lead worship the next morning, and the call time is at 6:30 a.m. And so I get up to Fullerton, I'm like, okay, we'll hang out for a few hours. I'll get a few hours of sleep, but it's okay. Phil's a good guy, good friend of mine. We'll make it happen. And so we get to Fullerton, we start driving, we get into Victorville, and I'm thinking to myself, where are we going? And then we keep driving a little bit more, and we get to Whiskey Pete's. And Phil goes, here we are, we're at the State Line, I want to ride the roller coaster. And I'm like counting down the hours. How many hours of sleep am I going to get tonight? So we get there, we go to talk to somebody to ride the roller coaster. Roller coaster's broken down, so we go all the way to Vegas.
When we went to New York, it was right before Hurricane Sandy hit, and the night before we thought it'd be a great idea to go down to South Manhattan and get tattoos. So we went down to the tattoo parlor, and he got his Let There Be Light tattoo, and in the middle of my tattoo, the power went out, and so we ended up sleeping in the tattoo parlor.
Doing ministry on Monday mornings with the homeless, doing coffee and donuts, getting to hear the hearts of men and women who have just been kind of pushed to the side by society, and being able to just pray with them. And I think my favorite story is, one of my favorite stories, there's a lot, but is just praying with this man, Steve. Phil and I just prayed over his knee. He had an injury, and he had been limping, and he was trying to get his life on track and get, he had to pass a physical to get a truck driving license again, and he just felt like he wasn't going to be able to do that because of this injury, and we ended up just praying over his knee together and praying for healing. And the next week he reported that God had just healed it, that he was feeling so much better. He was walking, the knee wasn't causing pain anymore, and that was just such an amazing time.
4 years ago, she came and helped set up, she was in my wedding, and helped set up the day before, and was one of those few friends that did that, and she was just there all day, and that's such a special memory. It's such a time of pressure and a lot to do and busyness, and just to have Amanda there laughing and smiling and ready to help was just a really special memory.
When they surprised me at my house, all the way out here in Arizona, for my birthday, they came out, I got a picture of Amanda standing in front of my house, and I was super confused, and I realized they had driven all morning to come visit me, and they only had just that day to spend with me.
They may be the best relationship I know. I have cried at a lot of weddings, for joy and otherwise. But I don't think I have ever cheered as hard for any as I have for this one.
But it's just the quality time that we spend together, whether it's being absolutely silly or having a serious conversation with them.
I cannot remember a time where I am around those two where laughing has not been a major part.
Just seeing their interactions, just seeing how they've grown in love and respect for each other. They really enjoy each other's company, and they glow. And it's just been a really neat thing to watch.
Went out to food at some roach coaches out in Anaheim, and after talking and hanging out, we were all leaving. I was with Ted riding home, and they were in their own separate car. And there's a lot of traffic, and we pull up next to them while they're stopped at a red light and look to our right, and there's Philip and Amanda making out in the front seat. I don't think Amanda had been that embarrassed in a long time based on her reaction. But sure enough, 3 minutes later, we pulled up next to them again at another red light, and they were once again making out.
I think the biggest challenges that they both have ahead will revolve around how they both continue to integrate the competing realities that life is difficult, yet it's meant to be enjoyed. How do you hold both in tension, facing squarely into those difficulties, yet somehow finding joy in the midst of them?
The biggest challenge Philip and Amanda have ahead is learning how to communicate well and making sure each one feels heard and understood.
Just learning to blend two lives into one.
The biggest challenge I think that Amanda and Phil will have is when little Phils come around.
Let's be real. Like, Star Trek or Star Wars?
But this couple has an extra special challenge, because for the last few years, by choice, Philip has slept on the floor.
There's a book that I read for college called Sacred Marriage by Gary Thomas, and he basically proposes something that I think is good to think about. He says, what if marriage wasn't to make us happy, but to make us holy?
And that would really fit into our prayer for both Philip and Amanda, is that they would really discover and determine what they will build their lives on, what their values will be, what will be at the center of their marriage, at the center of their lives.
God bless them. Lord, please guide them and direct them and help them to keep their eyes on you. You know, Matthew 6:33 says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these other things will be added to you. So really the Lord wants us to look to him first.
My prayer for this couple as they become one today is that they would never take their eyes off of Christ. In the good times and the bad, they would let him be their rock. Psalm 55:22 says, cast your burden on the Lord, and he will sustain you. He will never permit the righteous to be moved.
That they would keep Christ at the center of their relationship. That whether things are going well or they're struggling, that he would be the one that they turn to.
I just don't think we can ever fully love others if we don't really fully understand how much God loves us.
Ecclesiastes 4:9 through 12. And it reads this: two are better than one, because they have a good reward for their toil. For if they fall, one will lift his fellow. But woe to him who is alone when he falls and has not another to lift him up. Again, if two lie together, they keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? And though a man might prevail against one who is alone, two will withstand him. A threefold cord is not quickly broken. It's such a great picture of the two of you are separate cords coming together, and with Jesus in the center of it, he becomes that third cord that just makes that bond not easily broken.
As iron sharpens iron, that you two will sharpen each other, and that you'll lean on us as a wedding party and those surrounding you.
Figure out what works for them, whatever that may be.
My prayer for Philip and Amanda is that they will both continue to endeavor to live in genuine truth, to seek out reality and learn to thrive in it. Reality, no matter how good or how ugly, is always your friend. No matter how tough that reality may be, if you can look each other in the eyes and know that your life partner is every bit as much your friend as reality, you're gonna make it.
We pray that you will seek wisdom, you will love God with all your hearts, and that he will be first in your lives individually and first in your lives as a couple.
It's so easy when we hurt each other to be each other's accusers, but if we can give each other the benefit of the doubt, be forgiving, and advocate for one another as Jesus does, think that's where marriages really thrive.
That they grow closer and closer while they are adventuring through life together.
A verse that I think of when I think of this couple is Colossians 1:11. May you be strengthened with all power according to his glorious might for all endurance and patience with joy. The reason why I think of this is just because life is difficult. You need to have endurance, and life can go slow, and you need to be patient. And if it weren't the case, then you wouldn't need power from God. You know, if life were simple, then your own power would be enough. But life's not simple, so I hope that you will be given strength from God, his power according to his glorious might.
Really excited for Amanda and Philip's next chapter of life. I'm sure it will be full of great adventures and lots of shenanigans. May God use you guys to glorify his name.
Congratulations, Philip and Amanda. I am so excited to be here celebrating with you guys today, and I love you both.
That's what I got.
All right, take care, guys. Good luck. Bye.
Love you guys.
I am so excited for you.
And we're done.
I'm so happy for you. I look forward to, well, I guess I'll be at the wedding by the time this is shown.
Woo! Happy wedding day!